like there's no control on it for, color balance, white balance.
Yeah, are you using an iPad or a computer screen?
It's just on my computer, but I have a little webcam. You know what? Let me move it to the other screen and see if the different background comes across differently. See, you're talking to a TV guy here, so a TV guy. That's right. I've been talking to a lot of radio people. Oh, that's very blue. Okay, we don't want that.
It might be the light coming into the room.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's much better.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just kind of has a mind of its own. Now,
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like drifting back to blue. I think part of it is I have this very orange wall behind me that I think might be part of the problem. But anyway, does it look okay to you?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, good.
I mean, people get it right now. You know what I mean? Like we're doing it via Zoom. It's not like a satellite interview or in person, so it's fine.
And I also have a really weak internet connection, but and I've got 2 kids in school on their computers right now in the house. So, it's like a lot of bandwidth demand. But,
yeah.
So how are you doing?
I'm great. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting you at the ASLA. Is that what it is? ASALA?
Architects?
Yeah. I met you last year at the one right by the 606.
Yeah.
So a colleague of mine.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say a colleague of mine and I, we were there, we heard you speak. So it was a great pleasure.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
I wasn't wearing the same haircut you do.
Yeah, right, of course. Yeah. That was so interesting. I was asking you a lot about your interactive stuff that you do, and
here we are.
And how about it? So does this it's strictly online?
Yeah, for right now, it's online on in all of our social platforms for the morning show. So our Instagram, Facebook, and then we tweet it out. So in some cases, I think it gets more eyeballs that way. I feel like that's kind of how it is now. Like TV's the thing where you serve it up, but then everybody takes it and goes wherever they want to go with it online. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this may get more eyeballs than any of like the radio interviews or anything I've been doing.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out, right?
No, it's the time we live in now.
Yeah.
I'm a dinosaur, so.
Oh, knock it off. You're doing things that people, I mean, anybody I know would have loved the opportunities to do. You get to tell stories about our most favorite city, right?
Yeah, it's pretty great. I feel very lucky.
Yeah. And your work is fantastic and I really enjoy it. So
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll get started with you on this. Just real quick, I know it's airing tomorrow at 7:30, right? And is there, are they re-airing it? Like, let's say for some reason it doesn't air tomorrow, like this airs Friday. Is there like I know there's a website where people can go and find it.
Yeah. WTTW.com/air, which I'll mention. I mean, the show debuts tomorrow night at 7:30. It'll repeat a lot.
So we can just say people can catch it, go to TTW website.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. I mean, it would be great if this could get on in time for the debut, but if not, because the debut is always our biggest, push. But if not, I mean, it's going to run. I could probably find the rerun dates, but then we don't need to mention that. But it'll rerun.
It should be up tomorrow. I'm just doing my diligence to make sure.
Sure. And then it can be viewed anytime at all on our website, WTTW.com/air, and also on the PBS app.
Okay. I'm just gonna do a quick little intro and say who I am, and then I'll introduce you, and then we'll just kind of how we're doing it right now. It's very informal type of segment, so it's nice and informal and relaxed.
Okay, good.
All right.
I'm all about relaxed.
Me too, right? As you can tell. Let me start. Hey everybody, it's social media producer Tom Barnes from the WGN Morning News. The Chicago scene has like the best guest I could ever have for a Chicago scene segment, the one and only Geoffrey Baer. How are you, sir?
Oh man, I hope I can live up to that.
Oh, you're fine. You already did. Being on the show by itself, you've already done. I've watched your programs for a while, and I've made me fall in love with the city from the ones you did back in the day. I mean, I had like the 10 disc DVD collection.
Yeah.
I mean, those things are must watch. You flipping channels, you get to that, you stop, you watch, and it just makes you fall in love with the city over and over again.
I've been doing this so long, I have the 10 VHS collection. So
I was to say I have DVDs. I don't want to, make it sound like it was older than it is. I mean, DVDs are still kind of a thing, but nonetheless, you have something new,
yes,
and done and shot in a way that nobody's really told the story of Chicago through that particular lens. Why don't you explain?
right. It's well, as you can see, it's called Chicago from the Air. So, I've done these programs for so many years on WTTW, actually almost 30 years. And we've explored Chicago by bike. We took an L train to every part of the city with our cameras last year.
Right.
We've used all kinds of vehicles by boat in the river, but we've never done this before. And we were thinking, how can we explore Chicago during a pandemic? And I guess a drone at 400 feet in the air is kind of the ultimate in social distancing. So it just seemed like a perfect way that we could keep telling the stories of Chicago with the limitations we have right now. And then once I started seeing the footage that was coming back, I thought, man, we should have done this years ago.
I know I saw a little bit of the footage that was sent over as a teaser, and I gotta say, I mean, I think there's a unique advantage of doing what you did during the pandemic because you got to see the city not so crowded, where you can see the veins of the streets not clogged by cars necessarily, and just the stillness of the city during the pandemic. I was out early on in the pandemic shooting like just stills of the lakefront, and those are the videos that did really well. And this kind of just marries itself to what you're doing.
Yeah, we don't directly address that in the show at all because the show will live on for years and years,
Sure.
but it's definitely a moment in time. I mean, Buckingham Fountain is turned off. We talk at one point about the street grid of Chicago, and we shoot the 0 0 point of State and Madison.
Yep.
No
Formerly the
cars.
busiest
Yeah,
intersection, right?
yeah, busiest intersection in the world, and there's no cars.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, you definitely do see. I think people watching this program years from now will say, "Oh, I bet I know when that was filmed."
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the city this way is a unique experience to live through, and for it to live on digitally, on Facebook, on the website. It's going to be on the website after it airs. It's airing Thursday, which is today. We'll call it that today, and live on through social media and the website. What's the website?
Right. So the debut on WTTW is
Yep.
November 19th at 7:30 p.m., but it can always be watched anytime on the website, which is WTTW.com/air, just /air, WTTW.com/air. And you can also watch it on the PBS app if you have that. And the website's great because it has, all of our programs have websites that go along with them, and there's all kinds of additional content on the website too that you can explore.
For sure. You had the opportunity to go all over the place. You went all the way down to the quarry that's in the south suburbs, to the temple up north. Like, what are some of your highlights that you're most excited about to share with people?
Well, Thornton Quarry that you referred to it's like the Grand Canyon. It's one of the biggest limestone quarries in the world. People who in the south suburbs, I think you're a South Sider if I'm not mistaken.
I am.
The people in the south suburbs, might know it. You cross I-80, you go along on I-80, and all of a sudden there's just like nothing on either side of you. And the thing you can do with a drone that you can't do with a helicopter is these kind of daredevil moves. And I really wanted to do that with this program. I wanted to really, feel like a bird. And I had this idea, what if we just like literally jump off the cliff of Thornton Quarry and dive down into this 450-foot deep quarry that's like a 45-story building. And the drone crew totally did it. They, it's like your heart goes up into your throat when you watch that. You did mention the Baha'i Temple, Baha'i House of Worship up in Wilmette on the North Shore. Well, let me back up. So the show is divided into 3 parts.
Okay.
The first part is all about the street grid of Chicago. One source says we have the biggest, most ordered street grid in the world in Chicago. But there are exceptions to the grid where you have these diagonal streets that used to be Native American trails, or the interstate highways that kind of bulldoze neighborhoods.
Well, I was going to say, I know I'm from the south side, but I live on the north side now, and I live in Norwood Park Circle and Edison Park area, where every street is like this. It's going on an angle. You don't know where it's going.
Well, there's a reason for that. If you look at a map of Chicago and you go to that area where you're talking about northwest side, it almost looks like a mirror that somebody just like smashed with their fist.
Yeah.
And it's because that was a big nexus of Native American trails before non-native settlers came in and laid this street grid down on top of everything. The street grid, by the way, it is laid right on top of these surveyor section lines that were laid out by the federal government in the 1700s, starting in the 1700s, to just sort of develop this vast open middle of the country. They just laid a grid down across America. You see it when you fly over farm fields in the Great Plains.
Oh, sure.
But in Chicago, our arterial streets, like Belmont, whatever, Ashland, Western, they're laid right down on top of those section lines, very precise north, south, east, west.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, and so the first part of the show is called On and Off the Grid. The second part of the show is Industrial Chicago. We look at how industry has reshaped the whole region, and that's where the Thornton Quarry comes in. We look at a solar farm in Pullman, that claims to be the world's largest urban solar farm, with the sun bouncing off the solar panels. One of my favorite things in that section, it's all kind of oddly beautiful and kind of mesmerizing to see these industrial sites. One of my favorite things is the world's largest sewage treatment plant, this wastewater treatment plant along the Sanitary and Ship Canal in southwest suburban Stickney.
Oh yeah, you always know when you're driving by that one.
Well, right, and fortunately it's not smell-o-vision, so right. You don't have to worry about that. But they filmed it on a day when there was like a bright blue sky and puffy clouds, and it's all reflecting in this pattern of pools, which are kind of like I don't know, like a mosaic in this just sprawling wastewater treatment plant. You just kind of can't stop watching it, And then the third part of the show is all about natural and man-made beauty of our region. So we go to the forest preserves and we look at the lakefront park system and all the great, pleasure grounds like Jackson Park and Garfield Park. And then this is a long detour to get here, but you mentioned the Baha'i House of Worship. So we also look at houses of worship as these beautiful things, and we see them from the air. Like the Baha'i House of Worship right on the lakefront in Wilmette. Yeah. When you see it from above, it's perfectly symmetrical all the way around. And then we go to this Hindu temple in the western suburbs that was literally imported into the US stone by stone, like a giant 3-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. It's a BAPS Mandir in the western suburbs. So, hard to pick a favorite, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you said you've done this for over 30 years. You've told the story of Chicago through air, water, train. In doing this, have you found anything new doing this project that maybe you didn't know about the city, or just maybe a different perspective? I mean, you've seen it all, so I'd be curious to know.
Well, this definitely gives you a completely different perspective. So it takes like what's familiar but you see it from a whole different point of view, and you learn things when you see what you sort of think, like things are closer to each other or farther away from each other than you thought they were, for example. And there have been a lot of these shows, these aerial photography shows on PBS, but they're usually just these sort of floating shots of and music and sort of about sort of natural beauty. So and they're successful, but that's not what I do. And how many like rolling hills and farm fields do you want to look at? So we really
Right.
I tell stories, right? So we
Sure.
wanted to use this perspective to try to tell stories in a different way. And one of the things that's my favorite are these sort of ghost right-of-ways. So you get up in the air and you can see, oh, there used to be a rail line there and it's gone now, but there's this blank diagonal line running across a neighborhood. And there's some really cool examples that we found of this down in South Chicago. There is an old abandoned B&O railroad right-of-way, and it's a very dense, just regular grid-like Chicago neighborhood, probably 2 flats and single-family homes. But all of a sudden, right across this neighborhood is this jagged diagonal row of row houses, just cutting right across the neighborhood. They're not even on a street. Like
What?
when you go up the street, you get to this and you have to walk kind of along an angled sidewalk to the front of each of these homes. Well, some developer was able to get a hold of this abandoned railroad right-of-way that was just cutting through the neighborhood. And that was where there was some land available and some homes were built there. And those are the kinds of things you can see from the air that you'd never recognize from the ground.
Wow, that's incredible. That's it's a unique way. The only thing I've ever gotten close to doing what you do is that, like, when they were offering those helicopter tours in the city, that was like my favorite gift I've ever gotten in my life, just to be able to go up and see the city, not in that little window through an airplane going in overhead, but like sitting over the city and just looking at it, because how often do you get to do that? And with this drone footage, I'm sure there's probably hours that you just didn't have enough time to put in, that you were just like, this is all great,
Yeah, well, 2 things actually. One is I love to fly, and I always want the window seat when I'm on an airplane. And you're right, it's very frustrating because you're just flying over stuff so fast, and then you land or you take off, and you're just like, oh, wait, what was that? I want to see that. And with the drone, we had the luxury of being really, get up there and park the drone in the air and really take in the view, So that was really cool. Now, as far as extra footage, the answer is no. Most of our programs, like any documentary filmmaker, you shoot a lot more footage than you ever use. It's a lot of stuff ends up on the cutting room floor. But with a drone, you have a lot of limitations. First of all, you get about 15 minutes of battery life on each flight. And then you have a lot of FAA rules and permissions you have to secure. And we had a lot of locations to get to. So our producer, Eddie Griffin, worked with this wonderful drone company called Flying Badger. They're the premier drone photography company in Chicago. And, basically they really mapped out the shots that they needed, because you don't have a lot of time in the air to get what you need. So almost everything we shot is in the show.
Well, I guess that's a good thing then, because you don't have that itch to be like, well, I wish we had more to be able to put out. You're just gonna have to do another segment.
Well, we're talking about it because we sort of got the itch as we did this, and there is so much more. I mean, this is an hour-long show. It's a lot of the city and quite a bit of the suburban areas. We'll go out to Riverside and look at how Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux, the architects of Central Park, laid out Riverside as the first planned suburb, and they did it to look natural. So instead of a grid, they made all these winding streets, and you can really see that from the air. So we get out to some of the suburban areas a bit, but there is so much more that we could do. So if this program is successful, get on there and watch. Maybe we'll do another one.
For sure, and it's debuting Thursday, 7:30, WTTW, Channel 11. What was the website, Geoffrey?
It's WTTW.com/air. So if you missed the debut on Thursday at 7:30, it actually will be rerun many times. It's going to be rerun actually that same night. We're going to play it twice.
Sure.
And then a few more times over the next few weeks. But you can always watch it on the website, and there's more content there too. WTTW.com/air.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me. It's been an honor to meet you in person and now virtually. And I do enjoy your work, and I'm speaking for many people that I know that it's this thing that people just bring up when we used to be able to go out to bars and just talk to people, or at a ball game, you would always say, "Oh yeah, that's that thing Geoffrey Baer does on Channel 11. There it is," or there, you know what I mean? So your work matters, sir. So thank you very much.
That is really nice. Thank you very much. And I love what you do too. So thanks a lot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You're making me blush. We'll see you later. Have a great holiday season.
You too.
All right. That's the ending of the recording there. I just wanted to have it out. Let me just stop that.